We got some goodies, gentlemen. So, we're gonna do a little bit of a unboxing. Nothing special. We got some spicers. You guys probably know what these are. These are just the U-joints. So I got two of these. These are they're 1350 non-greasable, greaseless, whatever you want to call it, U-joints. So those things, we're gonna slam them in there eventually and try to break these two. Two of those. We got one of these thingies. It's an orange box. This is just the 1350 slip yoke. It's a little bit shorter than my other one, but I bought a really long one because I wasn't sure of how much run out or how much pull out there was going to be. So if I'm only running about an inch pulled out from the trans, I should still have quite a bit of overlap. I had like 4 or 5 inches of overlap on the other one. So even though my other one seemed like it was pulled out far, it was pulled out about 2 inches. It had about 5 inches of overlap because it was so long, like spline engagement. So I don't think it was much of an issue, but you never know. So this thing is good to go. And all this stuff, hopefully I'm gonna get it to the Driveshaft guy on Monday. I'm not sure if they're open on the weekends. If they're open on the weekends, or if he's there, then I might try to get it to him today or tomorrow. Well, not today, because it's already like 6 o'clock. Also got the rear. Lost my sticker. Rear, this is also 1350, so it'll be 1350 all the way around. Next we have another thing. I will say, these people have been getting a lot better with their packaging over the last several years. I used to be able to like ship a brick and people would figure out how to break it. Now you can't even half the time get the box open. Alright, so this is our new input shaft. This one looks okay. I honestly think my other one looked better than this, but we'll go with it. Comes with the snap ring on there, so that's good. I just got to get the little O-ring on the end, which I'll take off the old one, so should be good. Let's get this thing in there. Alright guys, so I spent some time with the pump replacing the boost valve, and that was an adventure. I spent probably an hour doing that because the valve was like stuck inside the pump on the new one and the old one. So I'm gonna replace this input shaft. We got the snap ring on the back side. I'm probably gonna use the other function of this piece of crap snap ring pliers. These things are convenient, but they kind of suck. Just take that snap ring off. This goofy fruitcake is gonna come right out of here. I'm just gonna make sure that I got the right input shaft and all the lube holes are the same, because there's like, I think there's like different versions of this thing. And yeah, I think I'll look a little bit deeper into this drum just to see what's going on, because I'm finding some metal. A little bit. Looked like metal anyways. Never know, I guess. It's kind of hard to say, because I mean, if that pump gear smashed and swirled some crap around, so let's dig all the way into this thing. I'm gonna pop this snap ring off. You guys have probably heard me say that like 70 times over the last few days. This will come out. Just gonna look at all my gears. Get this planetary gear set. Make sure that's nothing is broken inside here. Everything looks good. Torrington bearing, then the bottom feels good. There's another bearing down in here. That feels pretty good. Everything's peachy, guys. Peaches and cream. Check the sprag. I'm going to pull this roller sprag out. Just another sprag. One of these little things that explodes if you touch it the wrong way, and then you lose shit and it goes everywhere. Yeah, that looks fine. So just for good measure, get the clutches, and they all look golden. Everything looks fine. Good stuff. Put the sprag back in there. So I'm just kind of going through this just as a once over because I didn't check this. I didn't check the clutches yet. No, watch me struggle with this, guys, for like a half hour. This is going to take forever. Seat the gears. Oh. That one is actually pretty good. That didn't take too long. When I was practicing doing this during the rebuild, sometimes it took me like a half hour to get that thing in there. Right, it doesn't help when your hands are all greasy and full of crap. I mean lubricated and full of transmission fluid. So yeah, snap rings back on. And now I'm going to put the new shaft in. Make sure it has all of my Teflon sealing rings. You got these little sealing rings on here. These are like Teflon sealing rings. Make sure that those are all there, which they are. I'll take the snap ring off, and I'll tell you a funny story about these snap rings. A funny story. I actually kind of bent one, a different one, and I needed to buy one. So I bought one, and it ended up being the wrong size, but I'll show you the box that it came in. I believe this is it right here. I believe this is the box. Check this thing out, guys. This is amazing. This is the box it came in. Or no, actually, this is a bearing. Same concept though. Bought a bearing. This is the box it came in. Not a waste of packaging at all. But I'm pretty sure they did the same thing for the snap ring when I had to buy the snap ring. Funny story, guys. I can hear you all laughing from here. So yeah, this is kind of a little, I guess, tedious process, but alright, so now we have the new shaft on, and I don't even think that this one's bad, to be honest. It's got a couple marks on it, a couple dings. Yeah. I'm just going to check it, make sure the sprag is in there working properly. Turns one direction, not the other direction. So then this thing should be all set. And I can toss it back in the trans, and And I'll probably do some measurements on this thing and see if this thing's actually straight, and maybe it'll be a reusable part. I just didn't do it yet, so figure we'll get another one. This shaft was only like 20 bucks, so it's not like it's really that expensive. All right, so I'll show you guys my fabulous rig that we have here. And we can chit-chat a little bit. Chitty-chitty, chatter-chatter, chit-chit. So, I'm kind of actually not as disappointed that this broke now, because tomorrow was supposed to be the first track day of the year in our area, and it's supposed to snow again tomorrow because, you know, it's only almost May, so Wisconsin thinks it wants to snow. Straight out of Wisconsin. So yeah, it's been like all over the place. It's been snowing. We've probably gotten more snow in the last 2 weeks than we did all winter. So now it wants to snow. So we're not going to have a track day. I think they actually canceled it because of the weather. So I guess I'm not really that disappointed because I wouldn't have been able to go anyways. So that's not so bad. It gives me another week or something like that. But we'll do what we can. So I basically just hooked this thing up to a chain around the bell housing. And then I'll lift it up and slide it right off. It's kind of a unique little deal here. I mean, how else are we going to weaken the bell housing so it cracks easier? You know what I'm saying? I'll bring the jack over. This is my homemade jack, trans jack. It's pretty nice. I did a video on this, guys, if you haven't seen this one before. It's just some angle iron, and I got it set up so it actually fits right around the pan. It works pretty good. Just like an attachment, basically. Attach, detach, whatever. Oh, there we go. And that's what I look like trying to do stuff by myself. Yeah, this system actually, it looks kind of shady, but it actually works pretty good. It hasn't failed me yet, when everything else has. I was kind of joking around with myself the other day. People talk a lot of crap about decapped injectors, and I gotta say, guys, the decapped injectors didn't break yet. Just saying. Gotta find some humor in every situation, guys. So this thing's pretty much ready to go in the truck now. So check out the video on this thing, guys, that I did with the trans jack stand. It's just two pieces of flat stock, bent them, and then welded around it. Weld a bolt in there, and then this is just a piece of 2-inch pipe. Ground down the bolt so it goes into the mount, and this thing works like perfect. It works really good. Well, hiya guys. So we're gonna go underneath now. We're gonna get jiggy with it under here for a bit. I'm going to take the bell housing off, or what's left of it. Doesn't that just seem so strange? I'm going to take the bell housing off after I got the trans out. Something's wrong with that picture, right, guys? Ugh. I thought I'd be able to do this with just my ratcheting wrench, but this one I'm still gonna have to use an actual socket. So I decided I'm not gonna like go through the whole process of taking the engine out and checking the crank and doing all that stuff. Maybe that's a mistake, but I just feel like, you know, 100 pounds or whatever it is hanging down on the crank on the back on the flex plate. I just feel like that's maybe not that bad. Like bad enough to bend the crank or, you know, whatever I was thinking before. If you have proper oil pressure and how well the stuff is lubricated, and you think about all the force of the combustion in the cylinder pushing down on the rod and on the end on the crank and stuff, like there's probably a lot more force in the combustion process on the crank than there was with the frickin' engine hanging down on it, so, or the trans hanging down on it. So I'm gonna take my chances. You guys can yell at me in the comments, but that's what I'm gonna do, doggies. Oh yeah, that was gas. That was right in my eyeball. Ugh. Gasolina in the eyeball. Let's get a socket, boys. Holy OSHA. I think I'm just going to start hanging this stuff on my wall. And I thought about that when I blew the engine. Like, it's kind of like a souvenir, you know? Like, just keep the oil pan or something like that. Hanging on the wall, be like a decoration. You know? Because what we want to do tonight is get the drive shaft measurement. I'm just reminding myself why I'm existing right now. You know, this is always somewhat of an adventure trying to do this. Especially with one person, this is just fantastic. Every time. Guaranteed. I think this would be a lot easier. Wish I could just go in from the front, you know, like a normal engine transmission sloppy dinghy. Alright guys, so what we got going on under here, trans is in, I got the slip yoke in, I got the rear yoke in, and I got this piece of, this is actually like some flooring material that would go over like a step. I'm using this as kind of a straight edge as a mocked up drive shaft. I got it pretty much cut to length, but what I'm also doing is I'm using the Tremec, I think it is, app for testing the drive shaft. So I'm using this Tremec toolbox. Pretty cool. I've done this quite a few times already off the video, but you do the driveline angle finder and go to next, and then you're basically gonna set your angle. Uses the phone. So what I'm doing is, first I am measuring the angle, and I'm trying to be as accurate as I can with this, and like trying to keep it around the buttons, because there's buttons on the phone. So I'm trying to keep this thing pretty straight, and then you do set, and then the next setting has to be the drive shaft angle. And don't get all freaked out about the 7 degrees. I think that actually makes sense, and I'll show you why. I mean, the engine is a lot higher than the rear of the vehicle, so it makes sense that it's going to be at a little bit steeper than a 3-degree angle. That makes sense to me anyways. So now I'm going to test this little guy. This is the angle, so I'm basically setting it on top of the yokes here and doing the same on the rear. And I'll do set. So that's going to set the drive shaft angle. Now I'll come to the back and move my drive shaft out of the way. I'm going to do the same here, and I'm going to feel for the button on the phone and make sure that the button isn't actually in the way, and then kind of eyeball to make sure it's lined up with the yoke, and then I'm going to set it. You can see it shows an angle, and what I've been doing is taking a screenshot of it. It shows the operating angle as 1.3. I had it as low as 0.9, so what I'm going to do is I took all these screenshots, and I'm going to probably do this a few more times, and then I'm just going to average the angles together to get an average of, 10 data points, and that would probably be pretty close. But they're all within 2 degrees, which is what's going to determine red or green on the app. But the driveline operating angle is been like, I think 1.3 is probably the highest I saw so far. 0.9 was one of the lowest ones, so I think it's actually pretty good. And this is exactly how it was set up before, just stock. Not stock, but how I had it before I made any adjustments to it. Alright, so that's it for this one, guys. That is what I did today. Got the measurement. It's 66 3/4 inches for the drive shaft, probably 67, something like that. So 66 3/4, we'll call it. And we measured the drive shaft angle. So when I did this originally, I just eyeballed everything. I didn't measure anything. I didn't really care about it. I just threw it in, eyeballed it, said, yup, that looks good, close enough. And according to the Tremec app, and I'll post a screenshot right now of some of the measurements that I did. So there's 5 of them there, and the average for the driveline operating angle is a 0.98 degree average. So less than 1 degree average from all the checks that I did, and that's pretty darn good, I think, for an eyeball. So I'm not really convinced that it was a driveline issue or that I even have an issue with it. So especially with now that I'm going to be getting traction bars on it, so I won't have any axle wrap or much axle wrap as I have now, I'm not really worried about the angle anymore. So I'm going to keep my cross member that I have. I'm not going to build a new one. I might beef it up a little bit, but I don't really think that's going to be a problem, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. That's it for this one. Stay tuned for next time. We got some more stuff coming, and yeah.